Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Bridges, National Chair of Communities in Bloom. I'd like to welcome you today to our fourth and final webinar of our 2021 virtual edition. Today, we'll be learning more about CIB's Outstanding Achievement Awards and Contests. In September, we'll begin hosting our virtual symposium sessions, and we hope you can participate and join with us then as well. We'd like to thank all of our Communities in Bloom sponsors and partners at this time for their contributions towards our 2021 virtual edition. Their support and the support of our registered communities is truly appreciated. Without all of you and your support, we wouldn't be able to continue on with our programs and renew and refresh the brand as we've been working on over the last 2 years now. Today, I'd like to welcome two of our fellow CIB board members, Bob Lewis and Bill Hardy, who'll be joining me to speak about our Outstanding Achievement Awards and the special contests that are open to our 2021 participants. Please feel free today as we go through to ask your questions in the question and answer feature throughout the presentation, and we'll do our best to address them all. You can find the question and answer feature at the bottom of the screen. If it's disappeared, you can just hover over the bottom of your screen with your mouse and it should pop up again. So today, I'd open up and I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Bob Lewis. Bob is retired from the National Capital Commission in Ottawa, where he was the Director of Capital Urban Parks and Green Spaces. Bob's first career was in the Canadian Forces as a military engineer, where he served in various locations across Canada as an Army Combat Engineer and Military Public Works Director. At the NCC, Bob is responsible for the management of federal urban lands in Ottawa, including pristine parks, urban forests, naturalized areas, parkways, the Parliament Hill grounds, federal office sites, public outdoor recreation facilities, including the Rideau Canal Skateway, and 16 acres of flower beds, including more than 500,000 tulips and 200,000 annuals. Bob has been associated with Communities in Bloom for over 20 years, a national judge for 18 years, and also a member of the board of directors of CIB and a past national chair. Bob, thanks so much for joining us today. I'll hand it over to you. You're muted, Bob, sorry.
Sorry, thanks, Paul. As Paul mentioned, today we're going to be talking about the awards, grants, contests, and promotions that are available for you during the CIB 2021 special edition. So this is an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to go through the Hope is Growing social media contest, talk about the Outstanding Achievement Awards, grants and contests that are available from our CIB sponsors. Talk a little about why we think you should apply for these, and then some tips on how to apply. And then we followed up with Bill and Paul will talk about some special awards and contests by CNLA. The first one is the Hope is Growing social media contest. Hopefully you have all heard of this media contest, and it's all about planting yellow for hope and sharing your pictures on social media. All the info for this is available on a link from our CIB site and also from the hopeisgrowing.ca website. There's 7 categories in which you can enter your pictures. Everything from front yards, balconies, edible gardens, and public gardens. In the process is you post those on social media and they'll be judged. And in each of those categories, each of the 7 categories, there'll be a winner that will be selected. We'll get a Scott's gift basket. And then from those, the grand prize will be selected, and that person will get a Scott's Arrow Garden planter. So encourage you, if you have local front yard programs or residential community planting programs, and there is yellow plants, flowers, vegetables, whatever. Encourage your participants to enter this contest. Also, we also encourage you to go out on your social media, your websites, Facebook, local newspapers, radios, whatever, and encourage your residents to enter this contest. You'll find if you don't that your entry will be located on a map of Canada, which is on the Opus Growing website. And the idea is we want to get that map totally covered with yellow. So we get Canada blooming. Next, I want to talk about the Outstanding Achievement Awards. There are 11 Outstanding Achievement Awards in all. And every national registered community can apply for one or any number of these awards. The key awards, which probably familiar with, are the 6 criteria awards, one for each of the 6 evaluation criteria. And essentially in those awards, we're looking at highlighting the significant achievements in each of those criteria. There's also, and then more on that later, there's also 3 community participation awards that highlight various aspects of community participation. One, community involvement. This is involvement of the total community in all activities, including fall planting, tree planting, festivals, events, museums, the volunteering in your community involvement of individual volunteers, community groups, organizations, clubs, businesses, essentially the entire community effort in your community effort. The youth involvement, that's to recognize community projects that engage the youth. The gardeners, this is to recognize broad community involvement, specifically in gardening and horticulture products. We also have 2 Outstanding Achievement Awards for our international participants. Floral displays, sponsored by Ball International. Ball International also is the sponsor for the International Challenge category. And the other one, of course, is community involvement. And the criteria of these is exactly the same as in the national program, but just open to the international communities. So awards, other outstanding achievement awards. There's 2 special achievement outstanding achievement awards. One is the Land Reclamation Award by Bouchard Gardens. And this is essentially to recognize a community that has reclaimed land for a park and or green space. Now, the reclaimed land can be just about anything. It could be a former quarry, as Bouchard Gardens once was, and that's why they're sponsoring this this award. So it could be a quarry, a dump site, a brownfield, decontaminated lands, or just any old, ugly, abandoned site that is transformed into a natural park or a garden or a green space. As noted, the winning entry gets 2 nights hotel in Victoria and a free pass to Bouchard Gardens and a ticket to the afternoon tea in the garden. The interesting thing about this is that it is totally transferable to anyone. So even if you're living in PEI and you have friends or relatives in Victoria, well, this would be a good Christmas gift for them. Also throwing a pitch here for our CIB 2022 National Edition. The Awards and Symposium is in Victoria and is being hosted by Bouchard Gardens. And we do hope to see all of you there. So the other special outstanding achievement awards is Winter Life. And it's to recognize the celebration of the Canadian winter by highlighting holiday celebrations, overall winter activities, and community outreach. The winner of this award is highlighted on the cover of the Municipal Award magazine in December 21. It's a great opportunity to profile, promote, and get recognition for your company. In the magazine, there's thousands of copies that are distributed to municipalities across Canada and individual subscribers. So it's a great opportunity to encourage you to celebrate your winter activities. Now, the Outstanding Achievement Award, the winners for each of these get a certificate of achievement. They get recognition at the award ceremony and on the CIB social media. And of course, you get bragging rights. There's special awards with two awards, two of those awards. One is a floral award, which is sponsored by the National Capital Commission. And you get the winner gets a beautiful lead crystal flower vase that is inscribed with the CIB logo. And the Community of Gardeners gets it's sponsored by Scott's, and they receive a Miracle Grow gift basket. There's we do have a bursary, and the bursary is in honor of Claudette Saveria. She was one of the founding members of CIB. She was a professional horticulturalist and on the CIB board and a national judge for over 23 years until she passed away several years ago from cancer. So the awards are bursaries of $500 to 2 students that are enrolled in a secondary education program in horticulture, environmental sciences, or some related field. The submission is quite easy, actually. They're required to send in a letter stating their reasons and interests in horticulture studies, and also identifying that they do volunteering in the communities. So I encourage you to seek out eligible youth in your community and have them apply. We often only get a very few applications. Last year, we only received 1 submission. It was very good, and only 1 bursary was awarded. So reach out to your youth. We also have a lot of contests by CIB sponsors. We have a front yard contest, which is sponsored by Equinox Environmental Products. And there is a number of different categories there that you can enter into. Front yards, edible, apartment buildings, public place, just about anywhere where there's some sort of a garden in your front yard. And those are all the different areas that you can submit your entry in. And from all of these, one winner will be selected, and they will get a Gateway self-watering planter supplied by Equinox. And Equinox, just a plug for them, they are the official suppliers for CNLA of self-watering planters. Equinox also supports a backyard contest. And again, to submit the application is fairly simple. I'll go into that later. And the winner of this will receive a Vista raised garden planter, again, supplied by Equinox. Another contest by CIB sponsors is Nutrients for Life Foundation School Garden Award. This contest is intended to support local school gardens, and this is either the school that wants to expand an existing garden or to establish new garden. So the judging is based on student participation in education, supporting plant nutrients, and supporting food production. And one deserving school will receive a $500 grant from Nutrients for Life. There's also other promotions by our CIB sponsor I just want to briefly mention. These are actually the registrations for all of these are in the early years, so they could be awarded for the summer. And all of these prizes for these are supplied by Scott's, who is CIB's major sponsor. Grow for Good There are $2,500 grants awarding to deserving community schools, nonprofits, civil or civic organizations seeking to develop sustainable gardens and green spaces. In 2021, 6 groups throughout Canada received $25,000 grant, or $2,500 grants, and they have an opportunity for one of those to receive another $2,500 grant. Miracle-Gro Best Garden Selection. 40 to 50 CIB communities are selected each year to receive signage and Miracle-Gro gift packages so that the community can conduct their own local best garden contests. Garden Days is a contest by Gardens Canada and sponsored by Scott's, and it's open to all CIB participating communities. During Garden Days in June, communities or individuals are invited to submit their best story garden on Facebook, and the winners receive a Scott gift bag. All of these are great contests, and I encourage you to look for those early in the year. And they encourage residents to participate at growing great places together. So why should you apply for these? Well, primarily it's a great way to celebrate and receive recognition for your community achievements. It's also a way to keep CIB community, the CIB committee active by preparing the applications and by getting the community active also in applying for the different contests. So just a way of helping get you through this year for sure, and being involved and having the whole community still involved. The Outstanding Achievement Awards in the 6 criteria, because they are structured on the evaluation grid, it's a great opportunity to review your achievements in each of the criteria area and possibly identify areas for improvement in preparation for the full program next year. The results too that you would get from this, if you're not a grand winner, it may be a catalyst to reflect on your achievements and possibly look for areas of improvement. And if you are a winner, again, it's a great opportunity to celebrate your recognition at the awards and on the social media. So how do you apply? Well, all the information that we've talked about, essentially talked about here today, is available on the website. And for registered communities, it's on a website, as I mentioned. Just go to the member section. This is the password if you don't have it now. And all the information is there, all the information that is required for submission, and then the application form is there also. For residents, all the information is again on the website, but under support for grants, contests, and promotions. So everything is there. So going on more on how to apply, as we mentioned, all of the stuff we talk about today is available for registered communities. The process you'll find in the application, it's an online submission in SurveyMonkey. You just essentially fill in the blanks for most of them. And just a tip for that, before you submit your entry, you can review the questions that are going to be asked, prepare your answers, collect all your supporting material, and then just follow the directions to complete the application form. All the requirements are well spelled out, and even the scoring criteria and the scoring that's going to be used is also documented. And they must be submitted by 3 September 2021, which is actually 4 weeks from tomorrow. So you have the 4 weeks to prepare your submissions. Judging for all the awards and contests are done by independent panels and are based on the scoring as I mentioned. Just to show you an example what you'll find on the website with regards to the requirements for Outstanding Achievement Awards. This is the one for community appearance, which was previously called tidiness. And essentially what you are asked to do is fill in information that essentially is what is in, as I mentioned, which is in the evaluation form. So it's really like a Reader's Digest condensed version of the evaluation form for their criteria. There's only one other thing that's added, and whoops, no. Yeah, sorry. One of the things that added, there's a question there that you're asked to answer. The question is why you deserve recognition for this Outstanding Achievement Award. In essence, why should you be chosen as the winner? So all the actually, and if you'll see here, all the information for most of these awards is likely contained in your existing community profile documents. So you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. All the information is there. You just summarize it and throw it in these forms. It's really, hopefully, you'll find it an easy process. So I encourage you all to submit applications for these awards. And as I mentioned, it's a great way to keep your committee, your CIB committee, and your community engaged and preparing for next year. So next we'll go on to Bill and Paul, which will talk about special awards and contests that are sponsored by CNLA. And when we're all finished, we'll be open for questions. So over to you, Bill.
That's great, Bob. I'll just jump in for a second. And thanks very much for that information. Bob, I know you know the program inside and out, so you did a nice job of walking us through to understand all the different opportunities that are out there, and how really easy it is for people to to go online and really sign up to get on board with this. So much appreciated for all your help and all your continued help on the board. I'd like to now introduce our next speaker, Bill Hardy. Bill is a highly qualified management professional offering over 40 years experience in retail and management environments. Bill is a certified landscape horticultural manager and co-owner of Grow and Gather Garden Center in Maple Ridge, British Columbia. He's also treasurer of the Communities in Bloom Board of Directors, a director with the Green Cities Foundation, and first vice president of the Canadian Nursery Landscape Association. Bill, thanks very much for taking the time to join us today. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. I'm going to move right into the presentation. Today, I'll be talking about a couple of things. We'll be spending a little bit of time on a couple of issues, but the primary focus today is going to be around the CNLA Green City Award, which discusses the importance or measures the importance of urban greening in our cities. I don't think it's much of a debate anymore that climate change is affecting our cities. It's just a fact. I know, for example, in my own city, that the conversation is no longer around whether it's real or not. In BC, for those of you that are joining us from BC, at the end of June, we had a heat dome that took the temperature up to plus 40 degrees for 3-4 days and killed 549 people, plus hospitalized all kinds of others. Quite amazing what even just one element of climate change can do to our cities. So what we're doing is recognizing with this award that our living landscapes, especially in our cities, have never been so important to our collective health and well-being. We need them. We absolutely have to have them to make our cities healthy and livable places. It's amazing during the heat dome how busy our parks were, how many people were getting out of apartments and just escaping out to the shade of a tree. So let's get right into the meat and bones of the award evaluation criteria. We'll talk a bit later about how the evaluation is done and how the criteria is measured. But to there are 5 award evaluation criteria areas, each worth 20 points. So there's air quality, there's temperature mitigation, there's water quality and storm water management, natural assets and land use, and health and well-being. So in total, that brings us to a score of 100. Each area has basically a series of 5 questions. And each question can be a series of 4 questions, and each question can be worth up to 5 points. Sorry, wrong way. Under air quality and temperature mitigation, we're asking you again for 4 questions in each. I'll go over some of the exact questions later. I'm going to go through these slides pretty quick. I left a number of slides in. I'm going to slash by them because I wanted you to be able to appreciate the photos, because some of you will recognize the same types of green city infrastructure in your own cities, and might help you make you more aware that maybe you qualify to be able to apply for this award. So under air quality, we look at crown canopy coverage. We look at other designated areas that are dedicated for green space. We look at the requirements the city might have new developments, and we look at a really important topic of tree removal. For temperature and heat island, we look at street tree planting grounds. We look at large scale green spaces and the requirements for planning. We look at how we use our medians and boulevards. Are they concreted over, or are they streetscapes used primarily for living green infrastructure that in a lot of cases serves other purposes, such as rainwater management? And do we support natural turf in our cities versus artificial turf? Next, we have air quality and storm management. We look at 4 elements here. We look at permeable paving and the benefits that brings to a city. We look at green roofs and green walls, particularly the requirements or incentives that cities may have for those. We look at gardens, rain gardens and bioswales. The photo is an example of a rain garden that's designed to completely fill with water before it starts overflowing into the surrounding parking area to later go to a storm sewer runoff situation. And we look at bioswales. I think we have somebody on from West Vancouver. They might recognize this photo. It's from West Vancouver. All of the street water is diverted into that bioswale for the purposes of filtration, detaining, and basically retaining a lot of the water and returning it to the underground. And urban wetlands. Many cities are doing a much better job than we did for years at primarily keeping the wetlands that are already in existence, but also in establishing new wetlands in areas. I just came back from Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and in all of their new developments, they build a wetland right into the development. So that's what we look for in water quality and storm management. Natural assets and land use. I think this area is becoming even bigger. I know in our community, we're putting as much emphasis on keeping what we have, identifying and inventorying what we have, and really making sure that new developments fit into existing natural assets. Also, we spend a lot of time and effort at protecting those assets that already exist. So kinds of green infrastructure or natural assets are formally protected by your community. It's one of the criteria. What kinds of infrastructure initiatives does your municipality have? What kinds of municipal public outreach and education programs are in place to support these things? For example, does your community have an environmental advisory committee or a green infrastructure advisory committee? Does your municipality have established clearingways that connect neighborhoods? Often we have parks, often we have greenways, but are they connected? That's something else that we to measure. It's been determined that a series of small parks that are connected are much more valuable than large parks. What kind of green infrastructure initiatives does your municipality have in place? And what, we've already covered that. I don't know why I keep taking my eyes off the buttons and going the wrong way. So the final category is health and well-being. How are you using your green spaces with health and well-being being a goal? Are you actually really pushing the community to take advantage of those spaces? Have you improved citizen engagement in recreational or social activities in your green spaces through municipal programs? What percentage of your municipal citizens have green spaces or parks within a walking distance? How many kilometers of trails are available? Those are the kind of things we're looking at. And finally, because food security has become a big issue, it especially became a big issue at the beginning of COVID. I know with the CNLA, we were asked how fast we could convert some of our ornamental nurseries into food nurseries just because of food security. So are we addressing food security in our cities through the use of urban gardens, community gardens? Does the city own and operate community gardens? Do they incentivize them, et cetera? So those are the things that we're looking at. Pictured is an example of one, there's only two types of questions. All of the questions, sorry, pardon me, 16 of the questions are formatted in this format. What we've done with the evaluation is we've tried to make it very easy. It's not essay driven at all. You don't have to write long reports to explain things. You simply have to self-assess. So for example, on tree canopy coverage within your municipality, and most municipalities measure this already, so it's just a case of answering the question. Are you greater than 30%, which is a global goal? Actually, that's inching upwards. Are you between 15 and 30% crown canopy coverage, or are you less than 15%? You're either 5, 3, or 0. Same thing with the next question is around tree removal permits and bylaws. Do you have a tree removal bylaw that's based on canopy to canopy percentage? In other words, if you remove a large tree, are you having to replace it with several small trees? Or is it based on just a one-to-one, like take out a big tree, put in a small tree? Or are you completely void of having any kind of bylaw or permit requirement? Again, 530. So we're measuring, are you doing it right? Are you working to get there, or are you not doing it at all? So that's the one type of question. Wrong way again. We do have one other type of question. There's only four questions with this type of format, which is simply a yes or a no. So what kinds of green infrastructure or natural assets are formally protected or supported by policy and a regulation within your city? Do you formally protect wetlands, forests, water bodies, et cetera? Do you have policy around bioengineered facilities, or biomimicry as they call it, gardens, rain gardens, bioswales, et cetera? Does your municipality have an urban containment boundary? And I don't get into the fact here of do you pay attention to it, because often it's just ignored, but that's a point for another day. So the next one is just another example. What kinds of green infrastructure initiatives do you have? Do you use any GIS services for measurement? Do you use iTree or a similar type service? Do you have a formal green infrastructure management strategy? Do you have either bylaws or incentives for developers and developments to include these types of things? So there's only those two types of questions. There's a total of 20 of them, like I said. So we've tried to make it very easy. When we started this process about 3 years ago, the CNLA committee kind of set out the questions, and when I ran it by a pilot within my own community with the environmental planner, he told me I was never going to get any answers for a lot of these questions. So we worked with actually a municipal planning department to make all of these questions pertinent and answerable within each community. So I want to just touch really quickly on why I think this is really important. I think it's important for cities, number one, to measure so they know kind of where they're at on a global scale. These are the things that globally cities are looking at around green infrastructure management. We tried to cover off all of the major points that cities look at to create healthy cities that are vibrant and feature things that make people want to live there. We tested this with Melbourne, Australia, who's been the world's most livable city for 8 years running now. And all of these are up there in their categories that they use to measure. The other thing I think is, as a Communities in Bloom group, if you're concerned about what your city is doing toward green infrastructure and green management strategies, having this as a measuring tool so you can take it to your city council and say, look, here's where we need to improve. We need more permeable paving in the developments we're doing. We need to plant more street trees. We need a policy that stops our private citizens from removing trees because maybe that's where your urban canopy is declining. In Vancouver, the city of Vancouver keeps increasing their number of trees that they have on public property, but they're losing overall tree canopy because of what they're losing on private property. So being able to have a tool that you can take to your city, that you can say, this is what we need to improve. We already discussed why that's so important. So as of today, we are making this award open to all communities in Canada, not just those that are participating at the national level through Communities in Bloom. There may be a new link or whatever for you to explore, to look at it. It's 5 pages. I will offer my help to any municipality that wants help and guidance in putting this together. Like I said, we've made it as easy and as simple as we can. On these types of questions, we have a section for comments and links where you could perhaps, for example, under urban canopy, you could provide a link to the city map that shows the urban canopy and the percentage it covers. Or in question number 2 there, we've got a space for comments and links if you wanted to include your municipal tree bylaw as just backup to what you were saying. This application is a fillable PDF form. You can do it on the website. You can print it and come back and fill it in however you want. We've tried to make it as easy as possible for you. So that's the Green Cities Award. Please enter. We will use this first year or so as a pilot to get feedback and improve on it. We also want to talk just for a second about the Green for Life Community Award. This award has closed for this year, but it is open to Communities in Bloom communities. Last year, we did have a Communities in Bloom winner from Melfort, Saskatchewan. Its criteria and everything are outlined in the award, but community spirit, innovative ideas, environmental sustainability, community impact are all things that we're measuring through this award. It's a very good award. In another life, I wear another hat as the AIPH Green Cities Chair. AIPH is the International Association of Horticultural Producers with members from around the world. We just introduced a World Green Cities Award. I would recommend that the CNLA Green Cities Award might be a stepping stone to these awards. This is going to be a big deal. We already have applicants interested from around the world. We have cities in Canada that easily qualify to enter this award. Those are the criteria. The criteria are, there's 6 different awards based on 6 different criteria. Living green for economy, living green for social. I can't see because I've got a window in front of me. Living green for water, living green for health and well-being, living green for biodiversity, living green for climate change. I noticed that Edmonton is on this call. You should be entering this. I'm going to leave it there, Paul. My email address is available for anybody that has any questions. I would even take time to walk somebody all the way through the application form if they need help. Thanks, Paul.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for that, Bill. And I mean, what a valuable resource for anyone on the call. If Bill's willing to help walk you through this opportunity. And again, I think we've got some communities on the call that are at the forefront of trying to change what we look at as living green infrastructure. So hats off to you and best luck trying to carry through with this program and these awards. So today, I'm going to finish off the presentation and we're going to talk about this year's new Hope is Growing contest. So for those of you that may or may not be aware, the Hope is Growing contest intention was to create basically a wash of yellow across Canada and beyond and internationally, using yellow as the color, international color of hope. From parks to playgrounds, front yards, backyards, balconies, baskets, boulevards, barrels, and planters. Wherever there's an empty space, there's room for a plant, and there's room for a plant that has something in yellow. And it could be the stalks, it could be the stems, it could be the leaves, it could be the fruit, it could be a vegetable on that end. So we've been really thrilled so far to see how many Hope Gardens are being planted and shared across some different social media platforms. There's been some great pictures sent forward so far, just showing, the simplicity of a single flower and a butterfly, as you see on the screen right now. So we hope that all of our participating 2021 communities will enter into our special CIB Hope is Growing contest this year. And this is a separate contest from the one that's open to the general public. That was outlined earlier in hopeisgrowing.ca. So entry for this new award is for any resident of a community registered in our CIB National 2021 Virtual Edition program. It's a special award and contest, and it's only open to our registered communities. So communities that enter our Hope is Growing contest are being judged, and the judging is based on how the story of hope is presented through the use of yellow plants. Again, trees, shrubs, flowers, and vegetables. We're also looking at community engagement, the uses of our Hope is Growing marketing materials that have been made available, visual appeal, environmental sustainability, and your social media connection will also be evaluated. So lots of different ways to take a look at this, and it's not meant to be onerous to enter. Communities have the opportunity to provide a written description and up to 10 photos as well. And a video can be provided, but that is optional. So don't feel obliged to become professional videographers. Great photography from our handheld phones will do just fine. So the deadline is, though, fast approaching, as Bob mentioned. I think he said September 3rd is 4 weeks today. So there's 1 month left. And now the fun part, at the end of all this, grand prize this year is a $25,000 landscape design. And that can be implemented by the community on a qualified site. Now, if you go to some of the outline for the prize details, what a qualified site is will be quantified so people understand. But the design will be completed by 2 landscape architecture firms, Wentworth Landscapes and Bridges Landscape Architecture. Scott Wentworth and myself, both being licensed landscape architects, are putting our firms up to the challenge internally to help these communities and find a winner and try and create a great space. And the winner will be announced at the 2021 Symposium Awards presentation. A few details now, just to understand what we're talking about for what the prize details are. Because of the pandemic and some restrictions, we've set it up so the community must be able to walk us through the intended site. So by walking us through, it's a Zoom call or a video chat for Scott's team and my team also to be able to go through, see what the space is all about, provide us with some base measurements, and we can walk people through what we're looking for from requirements, surveys, if the city has a survey available, and then also understanding the ownership of the land and the municipal requirements on the land. So there's some background details. We can walk everyone through that quite readily. We just want to make sure that the site has great viability and durability and longevity to the use of it, so that as many people in the community can really enjoy the site as possible. And then there'll be design presentations, work through discussions and reviews. And again, we'll be doing these through either Zoom or video chats. The intention of the design really is to create a naturalized garden area to help educate communities on how to best use maintenance funds in areas that may not require active play or sports areas. So we're not saying necessarily alternatives to turf, but underutilized areas that are being maintained for the sake of communities may not know what else to do with the space. So as funds become tighter and tighter for municipalities, looking at better, easier ways to use space to create environmentally responsible space, and keep other active play spaces happy and healthy as well. So we want to be able to help showcase the benefits of natural succession in planned planting areas, provide pollinator habitat, help mitigate against heat, improve air quality, and provide rainwater infiltration using low impact design protocols. So all solid environmental design principles that have been in practice now for decades, but really now coming to the forefront, as Bill mentioned, and municipalities are starting to use this as their go-to. We'd also like to look at, how to allow for pathways and benches and trash receptacles as requested or required within these spaces, and also understanding that communities do have budgets to work with as well on the implementation of spaces. So potential for phased planning. So realizing that, we're going to help create the plan for the community, give you the roadmap and the roadmap and the ideas on how to get there. Then it will be up to that community to implement the construction themselves. But our goal is to get you a really solid working plan that your community can work together between your municipal government, maybe Parks and Recs department, and then your CIB volunteers, but trying to help you get there. All right. And then the idea is that we'll start working on this project after the symposium, after the winner has been announced in late October, and then make it so there'll be the project be ready to start implementing in spring 2022, if and as that municipality has the people and the budget for that. But again, the base plans will be there, ready to get off the ground as the municipality is able to open things back up. So there will be enough in there also for things to get built. It is not intended to be a formal tender document, as a lot of municipalities see. Tender documents are sometimes far more laborious than the design itself, but there will be enough information provided that the project could be built out. So that's the end of sort of what we're talking about today from a presentation perspective, the awards out there. I'd like to go back one more time and just thank Bill and Bob before we open up for questions and answers as we go through. Both these gentlemen and the rest of our board have been working countless hours and many calls over the last months, I guess probably 2 years now, trying to ensure that CIB stays vibrant and vigorous, and that we refresh ourselves and look at how we can best help communities and municipalities. As we know, time and budgets are becoming a bit challenged, but realizing the value and importance of what CIB has to offer, and then what all our other project partners and our sponsors have to offer, putting things together. So I'm just going to start looking through the question and answers again to see if anyone has anything they'd like covered in today's presentation. We do still have a few minutes left. Again, while we're just sort of glancing and seeing if there are questions, our sponsors have been incredibly generous with their time. Again, knowing that they are seeing, a different world. We're all seeing a different world out there. So we're happy to help them put their name forward. They've been helping us through our refresh. And I know I'm going to hand it over to Bob, because I know Bob, with 20+ years, will have some closing words of wisdom, and so will Bill in terms of what our contests have to offer this year and what CIB is looking forward to.
I just like to repeat what I was saying in the presentation, that these contests are a wonderful way to keep your committee and your people in the community engaged in volunteering activities, and great opportunity to celebrate your achievements. And I encourage you to apply for the different awards and contests. And as Paul mentioned, and I mentioned it, and Bill mentioned it, it's really quite easy to complete these, particularly as I mentioned, the Outstanding Achievement Awards. It's each you look at the criteria, and each award is like a Reader's Digest summary of what's already in your profile books and what's in the evaluation grid. So
Great.
please submit those.
Thanks, Bob. A question has come in from Wendy, specifically to you, Bill. Can you recommend one way a smaller community can utilize the Green City evaluation?
Yeah, absolutely. Every city, I think, regardless of size, has opportunities to work green infrastructure, living green infrastructure, the power of plants basically into their cities. We have, for example, a community here in BC, Gibsons, which is a small, very small Sunshine Coast community that has won global awards around its water management strategy. So any city, any size can really take advantage, I think, of certain of the criteria. What I think the Green City Award especially does is it would help you identify areas where you're weak and areas that you can improve. You know, one of the things that's quite popular in Canada nowadays is planting trees. There's the Canadian 2 billion tree program. But what we're finding is you know, are we as a city allowing enough resources to look after those trees once they're planted? That's actually measured within the Green City Award too. So there's all kinds of different things that a small city can do. You know, maybe you're not going to win in every category or be able to answer yes in every category. One of the things that I'm hoping to do through this, if we get enough cities, is anonymously pulling together all of the data and creating benchmarks or medians that cities can try to at least, you know, beat or meet. So by all means, reach out to me directly if you have any questions about any specifics on the form once you've had a chance to review it. Like I said, it's only 20 questions, so it's pretty easy to get through.
That's great. Thanks for that answer there, Bill. I don't see any other questions coming through live today. You both have done such a great job of covering the criteria and opening up to you know, walking people through a bill. Can't thank you enough for that. I mean, I hope you're overwhelmed with that, and then we can provide board and staff support in the background to help us carry through. So as we close in on 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here, I would just like to take this last opportunity to again thank our sponsors. And we also want to remember that we've got our 2021 symposium coming up. That will begin on Wednesday, September 22nd, and runs for a 3-week period, ending on Friday, October the 8th. I'm going to, Dave, if you could possibly throw that up in the background just so people could see a quick layout. Just for people to get to the symposium. And I know that that time is going to sneak up pretty quickly for all of us. There's a great lineup between our town hall, some of our speakers. Great opportunity there for communities to sort of really, again, try to come together virtually as we can. We're going to open up the chat sessions again, the question and answers. Really try and keep it interactive as we get ready and look at what we've got for the grid for next year with the changes that are being worked through now and getting ready for 2022. So as a closing note, Bill, Bob, again, thank you for all your support. All the other board members and all the communities out there, I want to thank you all for joining today. Please jump in on these contests. There's still about 4 weeks left on a number of them, but we really look forward to seeing all of you at the virtual symposium. Enjoy the rest of summer, and everyone keep well out there. Thank you so much. Take care all. Bye, guys.